Hi, everyone. We see a couple people. Kim, Ross, thanks for joining. Carrie, hi. We'll wait just a few more minutes for everyone to join us.
Courtney, one fun thing that Dana often does is just to ask people to go into the chat box
Okay,
and say where they're calling in from. It's always fun to see.
good. Are you guys, are you able to talk out loud as well? Are your videos?
I don't think so. I think they're all, no, I think they can only chat.
You and Rita as well?
No, we're talking. Okay. I'm sure everyone can hear us.
Great, thanks, Ross.
Ross is confirming they can hear us.
So those who are just joining us, if you don't mind scrolling down to the bottom bar of the video, and if you click on the chat, it's a little bubble icon, and you can type in the chat box to the far right. Let us know where you're from. Hi, Carrie.
Yeah, fun.
Albuquerque. It's so nice down there.
Mm. Yeah, I think Rita was just there. Yes.
We tried this from Santa Fe last week.
Yeah.
Annabelle, Minneapolis. I haven't been there in years.
Mm.
Kim, I'm from Kansas. Czech
Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Petra.
Hi, Petra. Petra, you were with us recently on the last call.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a few of you now joining us. So I'm excited that you're all here. Welcome. Namaste.
Namaste.
My name is Courtney Love, and I'm the director of Hanuman Festival, and I'm honored to be here on behalf of Dana Saray of Hanuman Academy for our Let It Go Emotional Detox for a Healthy, Happy Life webinar. And I'm so grateful you're all joining us from around the world, and we'll learn to clear heavy emotions and experience more joy with simple practices. And I'm here with Laura Plum and Rita Rivera-Fox. Hi, guys.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Laura's an internationally recognized teacher of Ayurveda, yoga, and Jyotish, and she's the creator of the acclaimed Ayurvedic food blog, Food, A Love Story, and the co-founder of the Deep Yoga School of Healing Arts. And Rita is a well-sought-after spiritual mentor, transformational coach, and counselor, and she lives from a lifelong calling to end needless suffering and awaken people to a more conscious and joyful way of being. She co-teaches around the world with best-selling author Don Miguel Ruiz. And so I wanted to just take a moment to send our love and prayers out to Dana and Josh. And as most of you in the Hanuman Academy, the Hanuman global community know, Josh and Dana are just going through a little bit of a challenging life experience right now. Josh was recently diagnosed with leukemia, and so we collectively have been sending our prayers to Josh, and wanted to take a moment for us to just hold space and kind of drop in for a moment and feel into this power of this positive, really powerful vibrational prayer. And so if you'll just join me for a moment and close your eyes. And take a deep, deep breath. And then a slow exhale, let it go. And then I'll share the prayer with you. Josh is liberated and healed. He is whole and happy and free in this physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual body. Light and love flood every cell of his being now, and bringing unity and radiant, all-powerful life force to his body and soul.
Beautiful.
Laura, did you want to share a little bit too there?
Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityurmakshayamamitat. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityurmakshayamamitat. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityurmakshayamamitat. May all the forces of healing come down upon Josh right now and be with him, surround him, and hold him in all the love that all of us feel for him and help him to heal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And so it is.
And so it is.
Yeah. Want us to start, Courtney?
Yeah.
Should we dive in? Okay.
Sure. Thank you to you and Rita again, and thanks to the community for being here. And yeah, if you guys want to dive in.
Okay, I'm gonna dive. So thank you. It's really an honor, of course, to be working with Hanuman Academy. It's been amazing to watch Courtney jump in and help lift Hanuman Academy and carry, Hanuman Academy forward, as Dana's had to be full-time in the hospital now with Josh. So thank you, Courtney, and thanks to the Hanuman Academy. And it's also really such an honor to be here with Rita. It gives me almost shivers. It's so exciting and so honoring. Just a little background on Rita and our relationship. Rita is, it's interesting, as you were reading, Courtney, a little bit of our two bios, I was thinking, gosh, and Rita was there before any of that, when I was just a mop on the floor, curled up in pain. And I was recently divorced. I had recently lost a lot in my life, and really didn't know what I was doing or where I was going, or even how to kind of like find my center again. And Rita comforted me, and Rita taught me really powerful tools. And Rita said to me over and over again, if only you could see yourself the way I see you. And I love it because even now in my meditations, a lot of times I'll look into the heart. Yogis say that consciousness dwells there in the heart center, the Hridaya. And sometimes I'll look in, and I'll even invite others to do this, and invite all of you listening to do this, to look into your heart, close your eyes, see that candle flame, that light there, and visualize it looking back at you. To see the light of consciousness that is within you, looking back at you with gratitude that you've come alive to bring consciousness alive. It's something that I've internalized from what Rita said to me in those early days. And I come in sometimes and I'll just drop in and it's a kind of check-in, like spirit that is within me. How am I doing, right? And it's such a powerful, we talk a lot about Hanuman, right? So we talk about Ram and Sita, we talk about Bhakti Yoga, we talk about this lover and the beloved, the seer and the seen. It's a really beautiful way to be seen by that creative power that created you. That's the power of what Rita was for me. She helped me see myself in the truth in the essence of me. So it's really, really an honor to share her with all of you. She, when I first met her, I was actually filming a 3-day workshop with Don Miguel Ruiz and his mother Sarita. And so with Rita, I also had many chances to experience work with Don Miguel Ruiz. So if you're familiar with Don Miguel Ruiz's books and works, then there's that beautiful link. There's that shamanic tradition, you could say, that's there. But Rita is her own person, and she brings so much to bear on helping us find emotional freedom. So I would love to ask Rita a question to start, and that's, Dana is going through this challenging time. I feel like over the summer, it's everywhere around us. I mean, it just feels like people are experiencing a lot of challenge these days. And I just wonder what your thoughts are on that, or what kind of insight you might have for us in terms of how to be a stable presence in a chaotic world.
As Laura mentioned earlier, we could talk for several hours, both because of our shared history and our the moment in time that we are sitting in, and our commitment and devotion right now to service. Yes, speaking about transformation, evolution. I'd like to call it evolution. We're experiencing evolution. And perhaps as a human body, as one organism, I don't know that we've ever been this conscious while experiencing the kinds of chaos and tumult that are part of the evolutionary process. So being wide awake in the middle of our destruction creation might be a new stance. I'm not sure.
Mm.
The way I've been saying it most recently to myself, because I too have been experiencing many things surfacing, waves and waves of sensations, energetics, experiences that can be overwhelming, that are certainly prone to keeping us more awake and more vigilant. And I call that very simply the unconscious becoming conscious. And again, I don't know that we've ever collectively been this prepared or curious or interested or committed to that moment of watching our own unconscious unfold in front of us. In that process, the traditions that we come from, the wisdom traditions that we come from, both ancient, my lineage Toltec, yours Hindu, both ancient, and both amazingly having these beautiful containers and teachings for this process. But I think that there needs to be some very, very simple and practical foundational pieces in place to assist us. The lineages, the mythologies, the imagery that we come from all speak to this, and we can very much access those valuable pieces of the wisdom teachings. But then also there's just the very practical practice of getting through the next emotional wave as it surfaces. So that's what I devote a lot of my time to, a lot of my work and coaching with clients really has to do with the very simple process of bringing yourself to be a conscious witness to your own unfolding.
That's so beautiful. That witness idea is so much what yoga is about. Mm-hmm. And yet I remember when I was first working with you and Don Miguel, we had this beautiful imagery of being, was the jaguar, or some idea of like stalking the mind. You're literally like this panther who's very much watchful.
Yes.
Watching all your thoughts. Can you speak a little bit to that? Or how we can be more the witness?
Yes. I just read an incredible book by Stephen Cope, Yoga and the Quest for the Inner Self. And he speaks a lot, and again, he comes from the Kripalu tradition. He's speaking a lot, and he comes from a psychotherapy tradition, so he's speaking a lot about this kind of mind, body, emotional connection. And so very simply, to answer that, or to kind of speak about that a little, Laura, very simply, the thinking, the thoughts, the content of this dreaming mind is what creates emotion. There is an action and a reaction. And so, yes, stalking the mind or becoming conscious of the narratives, the stories, the way our mind operates, with the understanding from the Toltec tradition that it is a program. It's, of course, not the true self. It is a program overlaid. Some people refer to it as egoic mindset. But we all have a reference point to what that mindset is. And that's what's evolving. When I speak about conscious evolution, I'm talking about that program, that mindset, the belief system, kind of the limited ways that the human has held itself in reality. That's what's evolving. But that mindset then creates the emotions. And what we speak to in Toltec tradition is that an emotional reaction is a message from your integrity. That emotional reaction has information. And westernized, we've so often, domesticated and socialized, we so often push away the emotional reaction to life. We've learned to rationalize and justify the emotional reaction to life. And now we see that it's time to bring that emotional track, that emotional channel, that aspect of who we are in these human bodies forward, and to use the information that's coming from the body, from the somatic experience. So if thought creates emotion, then yes, we want to become more conscious of the quality of our thoughts, particularly when we're talking about ourselves, particularly when we're discussing in our minds who we are, or what we're capable of, or what we're reacting to. So just to ponder that every single one of my emotional responses, even the ones that are really uncomfortable, come from my integrity. What does that look like in practice?
So if it comes from your integrity, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that it's coming from your wholeness, your wisdom body, your...
Yes. Remember silent knowledge? Do you remember the term silent knowledge?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, from my lineage, silent knowledge is the presence, the unmistakable presence within each human of their origin, our wholeness, our magnificence,
Mm-hmm.
lives silently within each one of us
Mm-hmm.
as knowledge. I like to more directly say that it silently lives within each one of us as sensation, energy, and experience. And so the emotions become, for me, like the entry point, the garden gate to discovering what is the message I'm attempting to reveal to myself, and how does this sensation and this emotion reflect my silent knowledge.
Mm.
So the curiosity around what is silent knowledge? At the same time, what is this sensation? Oh, it's uncomfortable and I'd really like to do away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the transformational process of being able to welcome, be with, see the silent knowledge within each one of our flares, each one of our dips.
Mm-hmm. So I love that, and I want to ask you a question about how we can do that, and also, sometimes I think there's also that question of sometimes you may be in the midst of really intense emotion. How do we know when it's a narrative
Good.
or a dramatic response versus
Good.
the silent knowledge?
Great. So if a storyline feeds the onset of emotion, if the storyline is the action and the emotion is the reaction, cause and effect. So when we have awareness, there is an understanding that, oh, I'm feeling this. Let me see, what was the thought I was thinking before this? That's the beginning of awareness. Oh, I'm feeling really low. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling whatever the word is. I try to stay away now from the words of emotion, because again, you say a word like depression or sadness or angry, and a whole narrative unspools. So just as an aside, I try to bring it down to the most common denominator of sensation. And my yoga practice assisted me in doing that. Um, Over the years, just the deeper dives into painful sensation in the body, whether it's a hip flexor or a lower back, gave me kind of the language to be able to move into the sensation of emotion, which is perhaps harder to localize and maybe harder to train the mind around, but those two approaches are exactly the same, becoming curious about this sensation more than you're curious about the story.
Mm.
So what I say in my work simply is that the story will cause the emotion to become present. Let's switch tracks now. Instead of the track of thinking and figuring out what's going on, we're going to switch the track into the breath.
Mm.
And as soon as we notice uncomfortable emotion, as soon as we notice something that is energetically maybe sending us out of our center, the practice that I give clients and students is the practice of moving to be with the breath. And this then gives us the place to meet what's there. And that's the biggest, I would say, erroneous belief that we have in our program, is that there's something wrong with what we're feeling and there's something we need to do about what we're feeling. And if we can move either one of those responses aside to simply the question, can I just be with what I'm feeling? I don't even really need to name it. Can I just find the sensation that lives in my body? And then there's a series of deeper kinds of breath work. Once the sensation is located, I work with a lot of well, we know about energy in these hands, right? I mean, healing is an energetic, it's an energetic enterprise. And so, when we touch ourselves with intention, when we touch ourselves with the desire to soothe, so much of our emotion comes from not having instruction as children how to soothe ourselves. And those emotions that tend to be really chronic, and those emotions that tend to really take us out of our bodies, have everything to do with learning how to use the breath, the touch, and just the desire to soothe yourself. The presence of love in the middle of chaos.
I love that. Even in Ayurveda, we say that with all the foods and the herbs and all the healing substances that we have, ultimately it's love and loving touch. That's the most healing. And I love that idea of being present to yourself, present to your sensations with that attitude of love.
And you recall from your earlier Toltec work that it is the speaking about transforming fear into love. Mm-hmm. Speaking about healing these fearful beliefs and programs that we've all inherited. And again, conscious evolution to me is really how we heal and dissolve these fearful beliefs that weren't ours in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I used to teach a lot about self-love. That was kind of my theme for many, many years. And um, it became just really apparent that the most self-loving thing we can do for ourselves is be present when a disturbing emotion passes through. And
Mm.
it is just passing through. If we don't get involved with the narrative or why or blame or the history of, this always happens to me. If we don't get involved with that, we can start to see clearly that energy is passing through. That energy may be passing through in a constrictive, intense way, but our job in being consciously aware is to allow life to pass through without commentary or judgment about the quality of that life experience. That's another way that we get stuck in emotional patterns, is the judgment,
Hmm.
the judgment of it.
I love what you're saying, because what I'm hearing is that we're living in chaotic times, and perhaps part of why we're even alive now, why we're yogis or Toltecs, or why we meditate, why we're seeking to be conscious. We're alive seeking to be conscious at this time, because in a way this is part of our task, is to practice being conscious and bringing the unconscious more and more to the conscious.
Yeah, yeah. That and the ability, I think, Laura, to also be with the mystery of it, of like not knowing why. We get so involved with why, how, what if, and they're not, they're not bad questions, but I don't know that I'm necessarily capable of understanding the full effects of conscious evolution. And when I find that most often when I'm in any kind of resistance to what I'm experiencing, it's usually behind the idea that I need to know what I'm experiencing.
Mm.
And less and less in these aging years am I needing to know why. And more am I getting better at immediately being there for whatever gets disturbed. Because I see every time that the disturbance happens, there is information, there is silent knowledge attempting to reveal itself. So hence, again, and I think maybe you've heard this, that I consider anger to be one of the most, the emotion that comes from our integrity the most powerfully is anger. And we can see that so apparent these days is how do we reconcile anger, our own and our cultural anger.
Mm. Yeah. Well, gosh, we could go in a big direction there. I just recently read that, because we have had this summer a number of mass murders, and what I read was that while it's only about 3% of them who actually have mental health issues, according to the research, the vast majority of these young men have childhood trauma.
Yeah, we could go on a long discussion about childhood trauma and the understanding of how it gets created. All that I can point to in these larger headline kinds of experiences, all I can point to is that we all have an aspect, as my teacher used to say, the murderer is within you. The rapist is within you. And what he was really commenting on was that program, that mindset is implanted in each human. And so, again, all we can do is our work. You and I had a wonderful conversation when you were here in Boulder about spontaneous evolution. And it just thrilled me. I spent weeks after that reading everything I could about it. Because that becomes to me what I can do, how I can take personal responsibility, how I can contribute personally to maybe what I can't understand about evolution, but what I can in some way. When my soul delivers this, my soul says, this is what you're doing now. Okay. And you don't necessarily need to understand it. But I just, you recall that conversation that we had about.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. I'm recalling what Sri Aurobindo said, that the purpose of our life, he said, is to creatively and consciously participate in the creative evolution of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And so it's a beautiful way of, again, rising to that level of I can have intention here. I can participate in evolution rather than evolution's happening to me. Right. And I have choice.
We have to, and I think so much of it is we have to participate without knowing.
Yeah, I love that you say that. So true.
Participate without knowing the outcome. We have to participate without really knowing the effect. The only barometer we have really is our experience, the quality of our experience. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And with what you teach, with what Hanuman Academy is dedicated to, it is all about the understanding of how we are in charge of the quality of our life experience.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. So when it give people tools, we didn't, but Hanuman Academy called this letting go.
Yes. Yes, we have tools for letting go.
And yet it sounds like we're not really what you're saying. And I do that same work with my clients, which is coming from the mind into the body to pay attention to sensation, letting go of story, right? We do that work, and I did that originally with you. And it's so powerful. I actually myself have an Ayurvedic way of looking at emotion, which is I feel like every life experience needs to be digested. And for somebody to say to me, oh, just let it go, feels dishonoring, perhaps of the experience or of my capacity to learn something from the experience, to come back to the integrity that you're mentioning.
Yes.
So can we give people a tool for letting it go eventually or digesting?
Well, here's what I'd like to offer. It's another point of view about what is it that we're letting go of. Okay. I think sometimes it's assumed that, oh, well, I'm letting go of my sadness. Well, that's probably at one level of looking at it, but we could go a little deeper and a little broader to, is it possibly letting go of what prevents you from meeting, being with, or allowing sadness to pass through? What is it that prevents you from being with any experience, anger, of allowing that to pass through? So it's not so much about the letting go of the actual experience. It's about letting go of anything that would deter us from learning from this experience, from knowing more about what our soul and our integrity, our silent knowledge is trying to deliver to us. What needs to be let go of in terms of opinion about this experience? What needs to be let go of in terms of judgment or rejection about this experience? I think there's a stance in the middle of this that has been so helpful for me, and that is the understanding of not withholding anything in my experience. In other words, as it's happening to me, it's revealing life's interaction with me. And if I withhold or suppress or push it away because it's less or it doesn't meet the expectation of what I think a spiritual experience is, that becomes a really powerful place of self-love. That all of it is my creation. And my can be anything from this egoic self to this universal being that I am. But I welcome all of my creation. And if it shows up as disturbance or anger or loss or scarcity, what do we do in scarcity? What do we do when the abundance is challenged? We immediately, I think, kind of point to, did I do something wrong? Am I not in alignment? I heard that the other day from my inner voice. Oh, you're not in alignment with. Okay, well, let me check that out. So whatever, that's kind of that, my stance right now is I get information. Some of it's usable, some of it's not. And so, just letting go of the obstacle to embracing every piece of your life as it reveals itself to you. I mentioned this to a friend the other day because we were talking about what kind of my default line these days, which is unconscious becoming conscious, right? That is, or shadow moving into light. However that is, and however we say that in so many ways, but just being able to be part of that great mystery and that great unfoldment without a need to have an opinion about it.
Beautiful. So beautiful. I love too what you say about being able to be in the mystery. It's about that so much. Of course, that I practice Jyotish, and so often I will go to the chart when something happens that I cannot fathom. Mm-hmm. In June, right at the time I saw you, I had lost my best friend from childhood, and I can't understand it. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I have to go to her chart and try to figure out what's going on in the cosmos that might explain it to me. And I'm reminded of my Jyotish teacher who once said to me something so beautiful. He said, through Jyotish, we are approaching the mind of God, but we will never have the mind of God. It will remain a mystery. It's so beautiful. It's like, yes, we have to sometimes letting go, maybe just being able to say, I'm going to be in the mystery of this right now. Maybe and just be present to what I'm feeling.
And I think at the bottom of all of this really comes the ability to build. It's not even building it because it exists. The ability to have the connection to life. The understanding that I am life. And there is life holding me. It feels often like we're working without a net in these turbulent times, and yet I sometimes feel like so much of this unconscious stuff and the transformational experience just is leading us with less and less burden, with less and less stuff to this place of, oh, I am life. And life is here supporting me. And I am the expression of that. And my needs have always been met. And being able to drop into that soothing, it's like a mother's embrace, where you're held. And so many of the clients that I do work with have had some level of childhood trauma. It's not, often it's sexual. Often it's, abandonment, whether real or perceived. But that's what seems to be severed, is that recognition that life does support me. I am held. Things may go away. I may not have an answer for. I may be in mourning for months. But when I close my eyes and I find my breath and I drop deep into my womb, the ground of life is there and I am that. Now, how do we get there?
It's so beautiful because it's so clearly Toltec teachings, but it's so tantric as well. It's so
Well,
much about
really,
welcoming, embracing. Yeah,
they just all did this great weaving.
I'm sure they did. I want to take a break. People, you guys listening, I'm just wondering how you're responding, what you're getting, what you're thinking as you're listening. I know we have people on this call who are so full of wisdom yourselves. And I'd love to hear in the chat box if you have a question for Rita that we can ask before we have to wrap up in 15 minutes or so. So please use that chat box to let us know. I also feel like we're getting some teachings on Atma Vichara, which is, you maybe make a judgment about a feeling you're having, and then you ask yourself, is that really true? Right. And then we, just keep asking, is that really true? Is that really true? What's underneath
so that? That's the inquiry. The way that you're describing that is the inquiry.
The inquiry practice, yeah. So you also, that beautiful thing you just said about life, that reminds me of intuition. Mm-hmm. And I'd love your thoughts on that, because I just feel like the more that we cultivate our intuition, the more we are just letting life flow through us. That's how I feel intuition to be. What are your...
I've recently, in the last few years, the discussion of intuition kind of requires constant redefining, as we go deeper. And so to me, it's something that's sensation based. I think we become more intuitive the less we rely on narrative, the less we rely on familiar stories. I think the more we're cast into the unknown, the more that we are here, sailing in uncharted waters. I think that's when we start to rely on our intuition. We start to go deeper. Silent knowledge is there to hold us even when we're cast into these unknowns.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Sensation-based, yeah. I feel.
Right. So it all comes back to the central idea of allowing ourselves to let go of the narrative, let go of the thoughts, opinions, judgments, and come back to see. Let's let ourselves see the see, right? The sensation, the energy, and the experience.
Yeah. Insight.
Okay. Rebecca's asking, she's saying that she loves how you had said that we don't have to let go of emotion, but anything that prevents us from feeling it, that's what we want to let go of. How, and she asks, can you say more about how you do that?
Sure.
What?
So really practically, the recognition is that when you are feeling a disturbance in your body, that's critical. It's just to have a new intent. All right, so, and most of us know patterns of being triggered. And so we can say, the next time I talk to my mother, the next time my husband and I talk about money, the next time my daughter and I talk about how she's raising her children, I'm going to be more aware of the sensation in my body. Okay. And so a lot of times while we're having the interaction, we can't do this part. We can't bring ourselves to conscious awareness and slip into, I'm going to do the practice now because this is going on. But we can after. We can walk away from an encounter, walk away from something with that emotional reaction going on and go, this is it. This is the disturbance. This is it. This is what needs my attention. So when you're sitting at home alone, you can bring your hand to the part of the body that feels the sensation the strongest. Often it's right there at the gut, right in the solar plexus. Place your hand there and begin to breathe in and out with all your focus at wherever that sensation is. Some people say, it's my shoulder. All right, well, go ahead. Put your hand there and breathe in and out of that place. And the mantra that after the first maybe 5 or 6 breaths, the mantra that's really helpful is just simply, I feel you. Here's my breath. I feel you. And I really like to use that pronoun you because in actuality, it is an aspect of you. It's an unheard child. It's an angry, ignored child. It's It's some aspect of us that we haven't been there for previously. So as you're breathing in and out, just very simple, oh, I feel you. Here's my breath. What's happening here is that you're not moving away from the sensation. You're not moving to story to fix it or justify it. You're asking yourself to be there. And it will be hard in the beginning because we're so used to moving away from what we feel. Moving toward what we feel with the breath, with the touch. I do it driving, walking. Start your meditation with, oh, what's here? What's here? Meaning, what's the sensation that needs my attention? Some meditation practices, allow us to move right away to stilling the mind, or at least watching the mind. And if we can combine that with, oh, what's here in my sensation body? Yeah, oh, this is what's here in my mind, but what's here in my sensation body? And breath, the soothing balm. The letting go part of this is simply the exhale. Okay. Here's my breath. I'm inviting this constriction, this sensation, I'm inviting it to move through, pass through, be cleared, without the expectation that it's going away.
Mm-hmm.
Just simply, in this moment, I'm doing my best to clear the energies that are disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there are other processes where we go into actually listening for the message that the body's trying to reveal. But for a simple, everyday, practical meeting of a disturbing emotional energy, that little mantra, I feel you, here's my breath, really works. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. I love that idea of just going in and listening, even though we hope that the final outcome might be that it's dissolved. The energy is digested, and we then are able to release the waste, but keep the wisdom, right? Which is what happens in our own digestion, right? We release the waste and we keep the nourishment.
Well,
And it's the same. Yeah.
The message from my body is, this feels like rejection, or this feels like needs not being met, or this, it can come as words. And then we go, oh, well, how am I not meeting my own needs? How am I rejecting myself? It's, the mind wants to say it's they, he, she that rejected me. It's they, he, she that caused this. And always when we're going into that deeper place of feeling and inquiry, it becomes, well, how do I do that to myself?
Mm-hmm.
How am I perpetrating that on myself? This emotion comes from my agreement with that belief. So that belief is mine.
Mm.
So it brings us just back to the nexus of where the healing happens.
Yeah. If I could just add, I've had experiences where I ask that question and I don't get an answer, and it feels like it starts to be self-shaming. Mm-hmm. So then I go back to compassion. Just if anyone's in some of that really deep, yucky stuff, and compassion, I just love the compassion that you bring to it, and that's how powerful that is.
Space. That's what holding space is. People ask, what is the definition of compassion? Like, how do I do? What is it? Just like, well, we're all learning. None of us have the chip, but we didn't have the holding space chip factory installed. We have to desire this learning.
I love it. That's so beautiful. Well, just to wrap, one thought that I had is you were saying it's sometimes for people difficult to go in and really be present to the sensation and hold it.
Yeah.
One of the practices that I love in yoga, as you said, is if we can practice, say, going into pigeon pose, and just for 5 breaths, just see if for 5 breaths you can hold your awareness on the sensation in your hip,
Who taught
right?
me pigeon pose first?
Right?
Who was my first yoga teacher?
I don't
My
know.
mirror, my mirror that you are, Laura. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was so beautiful because, of course, I worked with you first, and brought a lot of those teachings to the yoga class.
Yeah.
So the more we practice being present to the physical sensation, just 5 breaths, the more we'll be able to be present to the energy sensation, which we could call emotion, but we've chosen not to. And we know, too, Lisa Feldman Barrett, we were talking about her not too long ago, she says we don't have any emotion. She says emotion's just the narrative, the name, the word you apply. She said you basically have 4 categories of sensation: pleasant, unpleasant, calm, and aroused. And I think that's a
That's really
beautiful,
breaking it down, isn't it?
it's breaking it down. So just notice, what am I feeling? And then, okay, the reason I'm feeling this way, you might get some information. I'm feeling this way because, and that might be insightful. But again, it's really about, yeah, go ahead.
It's really important as we're talking about this, we're kind of breaking it down ourselves here, that we're really just talking about energy. The emotion is energy in motion. And if we keep these couple of things top of mind, movement, energy just wants to move, right? And see if you can begin to let go of naming it. I called it sadness just because we're having an instructional kind of conversation here. But if you can get away from naming what you're feeling as opposed to identifying sensation, that'll right away move you from the narrative track and the story about it into this place where all of this can be revealed. This somatic body-centered place where all of this is happening, and it's just I often see when I get there, I often see my internal self just so happy, that I got there. Oh, you're here. Oh, it matters.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. It's like, oh, you're here. You feel me, and we're breathing. Fine. We're done. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. I really love that. You said something so beautiful about the hands. Turns out that Anjali Mudra, or this, or even if everybody wants to do the mudra, it's like the Shiva Mudra. Take your right hand, thumb up, and press it into the palm of your left hand. And then you can wrap your hands around each other. Just to kind of close with a tool for everybody. It's a very soothing, ojas building, rest inducing mudra. Just to hold thumb in the palm of the left hand. And I've been doing it the whole time you've been talking. I've been sitting there holding like that. So I wanted to share it. And then maybe, it'll help to calm the nervous system and help it, the portal into the energy open a little bit more fully so that we can be with ourselves.
The conversation at some point is the nervous system, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doing what we can to soothe that crazy nervous system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love my nervous system. So, and also when you were putting your hands on your heart, I mean, wherever you go in India, in spiritual India, it's always, this is the gesture. People say hello to each other like this. That hand, that is the energy from the heart. Oh, I just love that idea of putting our hands on our heart to soothe and to remind us. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So I love you so much. I love everyone who's come on with us to listen to your beautiful, beautiful wisdom. Thank you for sharing with us. Thanks for being here.
Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
And blessings on your adventures. When you return to Boulder, let's connect. I want to hear about your adventures.
Yeah. So thank you, Courtney. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both so very much. What a beautiful, just potent webinar series discussion with the two of you. Thanks to all of the people in the community. I think there were a couple notes of gratitude here from Rebecca and Anne. Thank you both for your comments. Yes, feeling is all we need. Yeah, so Thanks for everyone for joining us. We will make this available as a recording and we'll send it out. And if you're looking for more type of information with Laura, the Hanuman Academy is excited to release a program this coming fall on Ayurveda. And it's really just a deeper dive into that intuition and building that intuition and really trying to apply the wisdom of Ayurveda in your life. And it'll be a beautiful approach with practical skills and knowledge. We'll focus on the principles and experiential practices. And Dana and Laura will give food and daily rituals, and there'll be yoga as well. So stay tuned for more information on that. That'll come out this September. And yeah, just thank you to everyone. Blessings and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, guys.